This is called the War of Faith because I really, um, I was gonna call it religion at first, but then I realized that if I ever wanted to do another video actually talking about specific kinds of religions, like, the most well-known kinds, and just talking about them specifically, I would have already had a video titled Religion that wasn't really about that. This is kind of different, and this is more about religion itself than religions, if that makes sense. So there's a pie in the oven that's going to be done possibly before I'm done with this, so I might have to try and speed this up and get it done before something ends up interrupting what I'm doing, but it should be fine. I have everything organized, so I wrote this episode a couple days ago. Usually I write the outline the day before, but I was having a conversation with somebody and I was thinking about what we were talking about, and it got me thinking, and I just couldn't stop thinking, so I just wrote the outline for today's episode, I think on Wednesday, and so yeah, the first chapter is called The Responsibility of God, and I think that's an appropriate title because the whole video is about, religion in general, and I called it the War of Faith because I feel like people have sort of turned it. Hello, my dog is right next to me. Hi, Daisy. People have sort of turned it into this. George Carlin, the comedian, did this great bit on it where he said something like, people have been killing each other because they didn't believe in the same version of God, and they'll say, "Do you believe in God?" "No," and then they kill you. "Do you believe in God?" "Yes." "Do you believe in my God?" "No," and then they kill you. And it's like, what what? I don't understand how people. Could you say something in Spanish? I really don't know any Spanish. I mean, I do, but not off the top of my head. Like, I have Spanish friends. I've learned Spanish a little bit, but I don't remember any of it. I could say hola, but that's about it for now. Yeah, I'm just gonna focus on what I'm trying to say. But people will kill each other, and have in history, and even today in some parts of the world, but generally now people aren't really killing each other over religion. But it's something that you don't talk about because of it. Politics and religion, those are the things. You do not talk about it because there is a war underneath it. People are just waiting. And if you give them enough, what is the, fuel to their fire, they will end up going crazy. And that's why people don't talk about it. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about religion. You don't talk about these topics because they're so sensitive, and because people are so passionate about it. It's just not brought up. It's one of those topics. And what I brought up about George Carlin is that he did it in kind of a funny way, but it's accurate. It's like people in history have been killed simply because they either didn't believe in God or didn't believe in the same God. That's the problem with different religions. And I think of religion as kind of like a language, where it's sort of like how if everybody in the world, like right now we have this to communicate worldwide. Anybody from anywhere in the world can watch this. But this did not always exist. If, however, something like this always existed, there would only be one language, because there's no reason for us to develop different languages if we can all communicate with each other. There would just be one language. And that the reason that there's multiple languages is because we broke off into different groups around different parts of the world as we were exposed to different things and came up with different languages, and there's different ethnicities, and it's based on where you are. And the religion is kind of the same thing. I feel like all religions have a little bit of truth in them, but I feel like they were based on what the people were exposed to in that part of the world. That's why the different religions come from different parts of the world too. It's not like all religions came from one place. That, you know, it's more culture than anything else. And but people take it so seriously, like it's actually a book that was handed to them by life itself, like a manual. And I could be referring to the Bible or just any sort of teaching related to any religion, but like really any religion could be thought of as a book, even if there's not a physical book to go with it. It's a teaching. It's a, you know, that here's how things work and why things work and what you're supposed to do, and then people just do it without really putting a lot of extra thought into it. And I don't think that's smart. I don't think atheism is smart either, because it's just another form of saying that you know, being certain about something that's really not certain. You know, religious people are saying there definitely is a God and no one can change my mind. Atheists are saying there's definitely not a God and no one can change my mind. Neither of those are smart conclusions to jump to. And I'm not saying you should be agnostic either. Agnostic basically means we can't know if there is or isn't a God. And again, it's the can't. It's the I don't believe it's possible for us to know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I think you shouldn't be picking a label and just going with it. I I have somebody that I'm probably gonna include as like a guest on one of these. I don't know where I'll do it. I might have to do it on somewhere like Instagram where I can guest people and then I'll just repost it here. But her name is Raven, and she I asked her once what she calls herself as like a religion, and she said eclectically spiritual, and I thought that was a pretty interesting answer. And then I realized that I think that everybody should be able to could think of things in that way, because it's more open-ended, it's less closed in. So I realized I said I was going to start chapter 1. This has still sort of been part of the intro, but the responsibility of God, I'm going to just have to speed through these now. So the universe is not your responsibility because you're not God. That basically means if you feel like you are responsible for everything, it's coming from a place of fear, because the responsibility is a burden. Responsibility is stressful. It's it's not easy. And if you feel responsible, you're trying to control things. You wouldn't be trying to control anything if you didn't feel responsible. You'd just be kicking back and enjoying and just letting things go. But we all are responsible for our own path and our own energy and where we are. But we have to know what we are and aren't responsible for. It's not that we're not responsible for anything, we're just not responsible for everything. That's not up to us. And it would be extremely weird if each of us, all individually, were responsible for absolutely everything in the universe. It wouldn't make any sense, actually, because we're all individuals, so we're supposed to be responsible for ourselves and what we do, and making sure we stay on our path and doing what we're supposed to do, what we want to do, what we came here to do. And that's the reason that it's a problem if you start taking on this giant responsibility, is because you will start alienating everybody. No one wants to be around someone who is trying to control everything, because they feel that like toxic energy. They feel that it's coming from a place of fear and that it's somewhat chaotic. And the irony is that you're trying to keep everything in control when you are in fact in the exact opposite of control. You have no control of yourself, and no one wants to be around that. So yeah, the second thing I have written is you're part of the universe, so your only responsibility is to know your role. I basically already said that. So, yeah, I think I've covered chapter 1. I have 3 things written here, and they're all kind of what I just said anyway, so that's good. I guess it was written in a good way, because it's what I was going to say either way. Okay, chapter 2, the fear of punishment. This is, um, this is about hell. This is the reason that people are afraid, the main reason, I think. And it's because I wonder how people would feel if they believed that they weren't being judged by a higher power, and if they believed that there was no place that they were going to be sent when they died to be eternally punished for the choices they made when they were alive. If people if people believed that, I have to wonder how different things would be. Sorry, I just got a little distracted because somebody just opened a door upstairs. Okay, so I'm gonna just read what I have written then. There is no place to end up because nothing ever really ends. Daisy! There's a couple walking outside. I should have closed the blinds. Daisy! Daisy! Stop! Hey, come here. Shh! Daisy! I feel like I can't talk until she stops. Okay, sorry, everybody. Okay, I think she's done. Oh, nope. What? Okay, I'm gonna keep going now. Sorry about that. I kind of wish I could edit that out, but this is live, so it is what it is. Punishment isn't about you, it's just you getting burned after touching fire. That's the second thing I have written under chapter 2. So basically, if you think that you will be punished for something, like whether it's karma or hell or anything that you would consider bad, it's really not somebody trying to even the score or get back at you. It's just, you pull back at this and then it's going to sling forward. You touch the fire, it's going to burn you. It's just the reaction to what you did. It's just you did something and then this is the cause of it, and you're supposed to learn from it. And if you don't learn from it, it's going to keep happening. And that's not anybody coming out to get you. That's just the way that things are, the way that things work. So if there is a hell, let's humor the possibility. If the decisions you make when you're alive result in you going and being punished for eternity in a place, then, it would be really weird that there is such a place to leave someone to suffer for eternity. And when everything else in the universe seems to just be so infinite and hard to understand, and like this gigantic thing where it's just sort of a big mess. We're 13 minutes in. I kind of have to... Does it say 13? Yeah, sorry. I couldn't tell if it was 18 or 13. I need glasses. I'm actually getting contacts at some point, but there's that. So, yeah, hell is getting locked in a state of fear and assuming too much responsibility. That's the closest thing that there actually is to hell. And I think, that's really all you can do. Just get locked in place, not able to move, too afraid, and taking too much responsibility on. I don't think that theoretically there could be a hell, but I don't think it would be a place that people go to be punished for eternity. If there is a hell, that's not the purpose it serves. So, okay, chapter 3, the meaning of faith. Hopefully I don't remember what I wrote, if I'm being honest, but hopefully this connects back to the title, The War of Faith. Limiting yourself to a specific set of beliefs is always fear-based. Yeah, that is kind of what I talked about before. Because it's limiting. It's not... There's so much going on around you, and you need to be able to trust that you're going to be okay if you release a little bit of that control and just explore the world for what it is. Because there really is no worst-case scenario. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. And even if there was, being afraid doesn't help, ever. Even if you're in immediate danger, serious danger, being afraid will not help you make the most rational decision. So stop trying to justify fear. It's not going to happen. Hold on to an attitude of gratitude and know that we're cut from the same cloth. There you go. Yeah, so we are all cut from the same cloth. We all came from the same place. And I find it amazing that so many people are able to forget that. By the way, I'm really sorry there's been a lot of extra background noise this episode. Hopefully it won't be like that next week. This was just kind of, this is a weird one. People weren't really prepared for this. I guess. Just, the timing just wasn't great, but it's fine. So yeah, you treat people like their problems, or they're different, or we tend to see people as the enemy, types of people, groups of people, and we get so caught up in that. You're probably right that they may be problematic to your agendas or whatever you're doing, but you have to remember that if you were in their position, you wouldn't be doing anything different. That's the thing, is that we're all sort of doing what we would be doing if we had the same memories and experiences, if that makes sense. I think it does. And I'm gonna I'm gonna end up with the last thing that I have to say. So everything, you know, everything is all sort of one. It's all just kind of the same thing. We're all the same thing, but we exist in different parts of the world. We have different experiences, and I don't believe in just single lifetimes. I think that we have kind of always existed and always will exist, and just sort of are. But here's the thing, this is the last part that I have written for the end of the chapter and the video. I'm not going to read it as I wrote it because it kind of only would make sense to me, so I'm going to paraphrase. Basically, nothing, I think of there as love and fear is sort of all that exists. And I think that if you remove love from the equation and try to make sense of the world from a completely robotic, calculated mindset, nothing is going to make any sense. You're going to be walking around really confused, and as you try extra hard to make sense of everything, the only conclusion that you're going to logically be able to draw is that everything is eventually just going to end and there's no reason to be here at all. I think that if we really think about it logically, then there is no reason to exist, because nothing is going to exist in the future. We're all going to die. Use logic. Everybody's going to die eventually. The Earth seems to be something other than immortal. Like, planets die and stars die and things in the universe die. Things stop existing. So who's to say that there's any reason for anything to exist? These are the conclusions that you can be drawing when you're thinking like this. I personally don't believe anything stops existing, because I think that things just sort of transform into something else. We perceive it as death when it's just a transformation. And if you remove love from the equation and you're just thinking logically or fearfully, you're either lying to yourself or you've killed yourself. And if you understand that love is sort of all that there is, it sort of feels like everything just fades away around you and you just kind of become one with the world that you're part of, and you realize that nothing is ever going to make sense without it, without love. And love isn't romantic. Love isn't, having someone that you can spend your life with, or have kids with, or get married to. Love isn't your mom or your dad or your brother or your child. Love isn't friendship. Love is just positivity. It's connection. It's empathy. It's trust. It's sort of just this deeper understanding that everything is all one, and that when you go into a higher vibration, sort of like they go low, you go high. If you stay high, then you're never gonna feel like you're not doing the right thing. It's only when you go low. And gee, I wonder what I'm gonna talk about next week. This is actually one of my shorter ones. I'm only 20 minutes in, and I think I'm pretty much done. But please read the description. I always put a caption from one of my Instagram posts in the description of these videos that's based on like a similar topic. And sometimes I'll leave a comment too to clarify something that I mentioned in the video. I think one more thing I wanted to mention is that last week I said I was going to do a video for New Year's Eve or New Year's, and I ended up deciding not to do it. I have something else. I wrote a song that I want to share, but it's not like a totally original song. I wrote it around another song, but I want to share it at some point. Just not sure which method to use to do that, but I'll figure something out. I don't feel rushed. If, as usual, if you have any questions, go ahead and post your questions in the comments section, and I'll answer them. And if it is a question that I'm planning on answering in another video, I'll just tell you that I'm gonna answer that in another video, rather than replying to you there, because I feel like, if I'm gonna answer it, I want everybody to be able to see it, instead of just having to go find it in the comments of another video. But yeah, so basically, I'm gonna say one more thing before I go. I mentioned Ivy Rivera in my last video. She has a YouTube channel, and I think in 2 days, on Tuesday, I believe, she's gonna be doing a video called Love and Fear, which is what I did last week. So her version of that is probably going to be much longer than my videos and more in depth. And if you're interested, if you like these types of videos, you should definitely watch it. And I'm definitely excited for that one because it's an interesting topic. And probably if you have questions about what I'm talking about, you probably get them answered there. So that's just in 2 days. You don't have to wait a week or anything, or wait for me to reply to you if you have questions. But yeah, I wonder what I'm gonna do next week. I guess we'll know when I'm there. So, if you have any topics that you want me to talk about next week, leave suggestions. But if I think of something else before then, I'll just put it on the backlog. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Cow on the rain hole again, because sometimes you just gotta